Hello and welcome to Interview with DJ Nocturna. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, and share always. Well, I want to say a big congratulations to the founder of Projekt Records, project with the record label Projekt, Sam Rosenthal, who's with us today, and the one and only promotions manager whose name is been I guess legendary to the Projekt label. I got Shay. Yes, you were.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you guys? Thank you for joining me. And again, Sam, the second time we did an interview. I think it was last year. It could have been a year or a year and a half ago or something like that. And Shay, you came to Hawaii. We met here back in like I don't remember when, a few years ago. I remember it was a brunch.
Yes, it was brunch.
I remember you biked over there.
Yes, we did the pixie bikes.
Yeah. And that was like a last minute thing, So I'm so glad, everything happens when there's a last minute thing. You meet people and it becomes a memory and you remember that. I remember little details about that place as well. And I was just telling Sam how congratulations, because this is sorry about the noise there. This is so monumental, right? To have this 40th anniversary. A record label that's been around, that has been like, I grew up listening to Projekt. Even before I was a DJ, I was buying music from Projekt. And the reason I remember it, because I remember some of these labels, some of these bands that I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for Projekt. Yeah. And I'm going to mention just a few of them because it's true. Lycia, Voltaire. I mean, Spiritual Front. I got to give credit to Sam for that, because he recommended the Armageddon Gigolo, which is like one of my favorite albums of all. I still love that album. Tear Wave, Faith and Disease, Love Spirals Downward, and even Trance to the Sun. Because a lot of these labels, even though they had another label or whatever, I couldn't find it. I lived in I think at the time I was living in Guam. And I couldn't find these things. And it's not available. It's not like way it is now. We didn't have the internet, that kind of stuff. So Projekt was the way to get it. And so these are things that and also, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. I didn't give you guys a chance to talk. But I gotta mention that another thing is your Christmas album, which is so special. You had that Excelsis and those a lot of these, I wouldn't have known these bands if it wasn't for these Dark Noel and A Cat Shaped Hole in My Heart, these classic stuff, right? The samplers that you provided to listeners. And if anybody's listening out there, and if they were a Projekt fan and supporter, they would know exactly what I'm talking about. So tell me, how did it? Okay, let's tell us how it began. I know it began like 1983 or something like that, right?
Yeah, I was making a fanzine in Florida when I was started in high school, and they're, like you're saying, they're bands that people hadn't heard or didn't have a way to hear. And so I put out a cassette of, I don't know, 10 or 12 of the bands I was writing about. And so that first cassette in, what did we figure, was it July 83, I think? Something like that. Summer of 83 was the first cassette. And it was really just a way so people could hear the stuff they were reading about.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe how long ago that was. Even Attrition was one of the was in the label, right? Once upon a time, back in the early days of Attrition.
Yeah, Attrition, a best of recollection was Pro 28. So it was the 28th release, and that was in 1989, I think.
Yeah.
And they were the first thing on CD that wasn't my band. So they were kind of the first band people heard of as another Projekt band besides Black Tape for a Blue Girl.
Yeah, and then of course Black Tape for a Blue Girl, and one of the things I love about Projekt is that it had that ethereal, I don't know what you call it, all the labels, there's a specific style, and just like 4AD has specific style, and I guess Projekt, I could compare it to the American equivalent of 4AD. I mean, which was easier for me to access, actually, because it was a United States label, right? I mean,
I'm sure you got the mail order catalogs we were doing back then.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we did before the internet. I printed tens of thousands of catalogs, and mailed them out to people who there was like a little bitty ad in the back of Spin magazine and Sassy magazine, and so many people wrote in for a catalog from that. And so it was, you mentioned Trance of the Sun or Faith and the Muse, and they were on test, but we sold tons of them through the mail
I
order
know. Yeah,
catalog.
no, I couldn't get tests. I mean, to be honest, I know I couldn't get it. The project was the one, and you were in New York at that time.
No, well, it depends on which time, but in the 90s, I was in Chicago, and then very end of the 90s, I went to New York, and
Okay, yeah,
Shea started. You started Shea
in New York, right?
And
2 years after I moved there, I
right,
think.
right. I think we both moved to New York City in 98 or 99. And we just really met up because our common connection was Lisa Foyer, of course. And so I started working with Sam in late 2001.
So how did you guys connect it?
Oh,
With-
well, through Lisa, who was my wife at the time and my
Oh,
son's mom, and she knew you from Atlanta, I think, Shea, thing like that.
Yeah, so she had been dating a guy in Atlanta who I was friends with. So I really met her in the Atlanta scene, and then I moved to New York City in 1998.
wow. So Sam,
Yeah.
you know, if you were to think back at what do you think was the first label, the first artist that you sign up?
Well, so I mean, I consider Love Spirals Downwards and Lycia kind of the first artists, because attrition already had records out for 8 years, I think. And I think Love Spirals Downwards and Lycia were the ones that were brand new bands that no one had heard of before Projekt. And so the kind of the finding artists thing always really thrilled me. Same with Voltaire. I mean, he had been playing in New York for years, but The Devil's Brisk was his first release.
I
That
know,
he
yeah.
had a cassette, but it was the first release that people really got to hear. So I like that part of the label, is finding people to put out.
Yeah, and then to you know, to continue on, to continue, you know, up to this day. Now you got the 40th anniversary. So what do you think was the besides having, you know, dedicated, you know, Shade being so dedicated as a promotion manager, and your your determination and your endurance, and all, of course, all the devoted fans. I mean, what do you think like kept Projekt? Because a lot of labels, they just slowly disappeared, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that right at the end of the 90s, Projekt was like well known, but also like financially in trouble. We just had put out so much stuff and spent a lot of money, but it was determination, I think, at that point to get through it and take care of all the, you know, issues. And so Projekt got very small for a while, as far as it was only Lisa and I for a while, and then Shea came on. And that, let's see, when was that? That was 15 years into the label or something like that. And definitely there was a lot of people interested and kept it going, as far as, you know, customers, people who wanted to hear the music. But I do think after it got through that hurdle, it just sort of had the momentum to keep going. You know, there was enough interest, there was enough really interesting releases that were available. And I think the biggest problem for labels really is they just got in debt. Either they paid too much for things, or they made too many records that got returned. And I think Projekt was lucky in a way that I had to deal with that problem before CDs crashed. I mean, Shea remembers when we would sell so many CDs through the mail order. Just so many CDs going out every day, and then it just dropped off in the early 2000s. But I had sort of already dealt with financial problems at that point.
Well, I was going to say, Projekt success is really Sam's complete dedication to doing the right thing by the artist. And that what makes me so proud is that I know that all the royalties get paid, and we're doing the manufacturing in countries that you want to do manufacturing in, but also just Sam's willingness to try new strategies. You know, when digital first emerged, it was largely illegal. That's not cool for artists, but to try digital, like proper legal digital downloads, and to embrace that as a new way to get music to fans, where now you don't have to have shipping and the overhead of manufacturing. That changes the financials of a label like Projekt.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think it ends up that the artists get paid more now per release versus when we had to put a lot into making CDs. And, you know, sometimes we'd end up with 2,000, 3,000 CDs that were left over. And we had these costs that now digital allows more of that money to go directly to the artists.
So what is Projekt doing now that's different from back in the, when you know, like a few years ago? Are you guys doing something different now with regard to the label?
I mean, I think Bandcamp came along, I think it's been 10 years now, but the last 5 years, Bandcamp has become so important for the connecting with the fans as they added more of the social aspect. So much of how we release records and let people know about it is through Bandcamp. And I'd say 2/3 of the records are released at free or name your price that way, where, I mean, the digital part, obviously not the CD part, but the digital part is name your price, and it allows people to get the record without having to pay anything unless they want to. And that has definitely grown as a place that we connect to people who hear the music. Because at the beginning of the digital era, with iTunes being the big one, there was no connection anymore to the people who were hearing the music, because they would buy it on iTunes, but we never knew who they were. And there was, you know, we used to get fan mail. We used to get letters in the mail that we'd send to Lycia or whoever. And that just sort of disappeared. So Bandcamp now, in the last 5 years, we've been really reconnecting with the people who care about it. So that's a good thing.
You know, one thing I love about Projekt is I keep the CDs, you know, even the ones I bought many years ago. I don't sell them, especially because I know, you know, how people just give them away, or because I know the quality of CDs are better than digital, right? Digital kind of fades a little bit, you know. So I like CDs and you know, and vinyl, because they really they last longer. So you know, people out there who are listening, you know, keep the CDs and, you know, keep buying music and supporting these artists, because I'm telling you that, I mean, a lot of these artists are like one of a kind, you know. They really truly are. I mean, where are you going to hear Trance to the Sun? I mean, big shout out to them. I'm a big fan of Trance to the Sun. I mean, they just have you know, all of these artists, they're just unique in their own way. And Projekt has a way of, I connected to Projekt, just like I connect the labels from 4AD to 4AD, you know. And one thing about Projekt, it has its own like aesthetic, you know, the beauty of it, even your font that you do for Projekt is one of a kind, right? You just automatically identify with it. And I'm glad you spell it differently and not the way that it's spelled, like with a C, so people can actually find it on the internet, which is a big,
that was great thinking 40 years ago. That was
smart. Yeah, because imagine if it, especially now, you click on something, oh, Projekt, oh, C. So if somebody's spelling it that way, they won't find it, right? Unless they put record on it, and then maybe it'll pop up and they'll see a picture and they go, oh, there it is. But you know, it is special. So congratulations to being 40th. So what do you guys have planned for this, like monumental one of, you know, because you're only gonna hit 40 once, right? And then you gotta wait till 50 now. So you guys have I mean, that's great. I mean, you know, big shout out to Ethan Marolis, you know. He always puts out all these great bands.
Well, yeah. I think we're celebrating by putting out an album a week pretty much this year. It's been really busy, just finding a lot of great new artists to release and building the brand, like you said. You know, so much of course the music is the focus here, but Sam's visuals and his graphic design are part of the package that brings people to Projekt, like you said, and keeps the loyal fan base there.
So Sam, you were saying that the design of the so how does that work with the design of the record, of the you know, the cover of the albums? Because you know,
yeah, I probably designed 60 or 70% of the album packages and the covers. Sometimes artists have an image and then I work with them on the font for a cover.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to school for it. It's just something I realized I was good at. And like you say, I mean, I think the difference between 4AD and Projekt is we've now had a lot more albums out than 4AD. So I think there's much more of a variety of looks, where when you're thinking about the very classic 4AD era, There was a very, very specific 4AD look from Cocktail Twins and Dick and Dance's Mortal Coil. There was just, you know, I forget the designer's name at the 23 envelope. But I think I always want to make sure that the artist's record looks like that artist's record, to keep enough difference between artists that you know, oh, that's an Erik Wøllo cover, or that's a Lycia cover.
Yeah. So if people wanted to, so what are the genres that you would identify with Projekt if you had to specific? I know there's neoclassical, gothic, dream pop,
SHEA,
Darkwave. Just for some people listening and they're not familiar, you know.
Definitely. I mean, Darkwave envelops even the shoegaze stuff. But you know, these days we're really known for the dark ambient. I mean, that's where most of the releases are these days. And that kind of is almost like a space drone specialty within that bigger umbrella. Sam, do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, there's some that is electronic space, but then there's a number of Italian artists who are more on the kind of drone ambient side. And I don't know how it's worked out that I think there's 5 current Italians on the label. There's 2 people from Australia. And then, you know, you think about like countries you'd expect like Germany or England, and there's not really like anyone from those places, right? Unless I forgot somebody. But yeah, it's interesting how there's just, I guess, what I enjoy hearing that I focus on. And then the most prolific artist on the label is Steve Roach, who's a variety of ambient styles. And then Voltaire had 6 albums on the label, I believe. And so, like I said, it was finding new artists, but then working with them for years and years. And, you know, SHEA started doing mail art, so you sort of connected with the fans. And then as you got into promotion, you were also dealing with like the press people who are, you know, part of how we get the word out.
And things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but so SHEA has had like all sides of it, dealing with different aspects of the label.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And SHEA is also like my external hard drive for my brain. So SHEA,
I know, SHEA's amazing.
22
That's
years.
I think my first job function is external hard drive.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's many years of people we've dealt with that I'm sometimes not quite remembering what happened, who that person was.
Right. And you know, part of the reason that Sam and I do work so well together is we shared an office in New York City we actually worked together for 12 years before Sam moved to Portland. And I stayed in New York City, and then I did move to Los Angeles in 2020. So it's been really nice to be on the same time zone now. But I think the reason that we do function very well with really an email and texting relationship is that we had 12 years of working face to face and, you know, dealing with the customers, dealing with manufacturing problems. I mean, there's, you know, all kinds of pitfalls and joys that come with running a business.
And, you know, I remember when I did my show, it's called A Feast of Friends on KTUH 90.3 FM. And I did this for 16 years. So every Christmas, my show was Saturday, 6 to 9 p.m. So every Christmas, I would do a Christmas show. And how would I play a Christmas show, right? I would get the Christmas albums, the Dark Noel and all that stuff you put out. Because so everybody goes, oh, can you play that? Every year they would call and say, can you play that song, the Christmas song, the goth Christmas?
Holiday music is definitely Sam's favorite genre.
It's so beautiful. I mean,
thanks, SHEA.
Because, you know, it's the version of no, I mean, it really is beautiful because, you know, you have all this Christmas music that's overplayed every single year. And then you come up and then people listen to the radio and they hear something with ethereal voices singing like the most beautiful angelic angel voices singing a Christmas hymn. I mean, that's just beautiful. So those are wonderful memories for me. Playing that and just and maybe I'll go back and do the show again for Christmas, and I'll do that again because I think it's I don't know if anybody does it anymore over there because I know there's a goth show. I think I was the only goth show for a very long time.
Yeah. from the band Thanatos was the one who sort of proposed the idea of Excelsis in '95. And he was like, most of the Christmas records are either, you know, one artist or sort of trying to be funny Christmas. And he's like, what if we do a dark Christmas album that's not trying to be funny, trying to be, you know, what the kind of music we do just with Christmas and holiday songs. And so I tried to throw out the reminder that he was the one who started that whole idea, which
I think if you keep it going, like a new version of different Christmas songs, I think it'd be great. Really, I think that will just continue to just evolve every year.
Yeah, I think. Well,
goth artists in this year.
Well, Thanatos, Pat and I did a Christmas EP last Christmas that had 4 tracks, 2 originals and 2 traditionals. But there's,
I know.
And I guess Ethan has a Christmas EP with.
Oh yeah, he did. Yep, that's right. And I would play
4 years ago
Yeah.
now.
I mean, Pat Ogle was on the show last year as well. Thanatos. So people want to check that out. It's on my YouTube channel as well, also with Sam. Yeah, wow. Well, you know, that's such a wonderful memory, and thank you for doing this again and continuing it on. And I hope you guys continue to do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if a DJ or somebody wanted to reach out, play the music, or you know, check out the artist, what's the best way to do that?
Send us an email. On projekt.com, there's lots of contacts. I'm SHEA at projekt.com, SHEA at projekt.com with a K. You can send us a message through Instagram, Bandcamp. We're out there.
And you know what? These guys are one of the friendliest people. So, you know, if you're listening out there, and continue to play the wonderful music that Projekt brings out, because it's hard to find music these days, you know, quality music. And that's why we do what we do. Sometimes we do it with love and only with love. And yeah. Well, congratulations on the 40th anniversary of Projekt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, you know, I'll see you in Hawaii, SHEA. I hope you come back. I know you come here a lot. I know you guys fly here a lot. And Sam, when are you coming to Hawaii?
Someday. I haven't been there since.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the sun, you can cover up, you know.
I think I was there in '90 or something like that, a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, if you guys come back, you know, let me know. But yeah. Okay. Well,
I would love to have that.
I know you come back a lot. I know I see you sitting on the beach.
Well, I was there for Christmas, I think, but we were there to see family. So Christmas, I'm sure busy.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just there for one day. So.
I know, yeah. I know. Sometimes I see it and then you're already gone, you know. I see it on Facebook. Oh, there's SHEA. She's sitting on the beach and now she's in another state. That's great. It's good to travel.
Definitely.
All right. Is there anything new that you want to mention about Projekt? Oh, and I know you have you're Mesmerized by the Sirens. You have that album, right? That's the latest one.
So I did a Kickstarter to fund it, and there's a 2 CD and the LP, which are, I think it's maybe August or September it's going to be released. Right now I'm waiting for the pieces to give to the backers, and then it will come out.
Mesmerized by the Sirens. I love that. It's always so ethereal, so mystical, magical titles. I love your title. All right.
Yeah, that one I remixed the album, so this new version sounds so much more full and so much clearer.
And it's on vinyl, right?
Yeah, it's going to be vinyl too. Sure. Yeah. And also mini disc. I don't have one to show you, but little old mini discs. So.
Yeah, so passionate. Love that. All right. Okay, well, you know, thank you guys. Projekt.com, PROJEKT for more information. Right. You want to check out their music, buy a CD, support their label, and support the scene. It's always good. And please share this video. Please like and subscribe and share. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for joining me. Let me just put this off. Thank you.
Thank you.